Hi, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas on Sunday, July the 12th. And welcome to our commentary. As we like to do on Sunday nights, we're chatting today with our good friend George Rodriguez from South Texas. George, how are you?
Very good, thank you. How are you?
Pretty good, just very hot, but I guess you are too.
Yes, it is. It's hot and
we're
humid.
so,
Had a lot of
yeah,
rain down here, and it's very humid.
yeah, we're supposed to get rain tonight or tomorrow, but you know, it's it's pretty much what happens here in July every year. I can't think of a July where we got a snowstorm. So at least I can't think of one. I mean, it's generally the July is that one month of survival when it comes to the heat. Well, August doesn't get any better, but
August,
July and August,
and then
yeah, July and
September we start
August
to
are the two
slow down.
months of the year. But July and August are the 2 months of the year when I am really happy that the Rangers now have a stadium with a roof. I was out there many a Sunday afternoon or weeknight uh, at the former stadium when it was just unbearable. I mean, just absolutely unbearable, the heat. And when you can, if you can believe, a 1 o'clock game or 2 o'clock game, I mean, that was almost putting your life in jeopardy at that time. So anyway, I'm glad they have a roof, and I'm glad they're able to play on Tuesday when the World Cup comes here for one of the semifinals. They'll play under the
That
roof
should
now.
be fun. That should
Yeah,
be fun.
that's the Cowboys stadium. I mean, they're next to each other.
Yeah.
The Cowboys and Rangers are right next to each other. But yeah, that should be a big game. England and France. I mean, I thought those countries fought wars
Well,
in
this
the
is this is
past.
going to be resembling one. Let me tell you, it's they take it that serious.
Yeah, they sure do. And then, of course, the other game is who's the other one? Argentina and
Argentina
who's
and Spain.
and Spain. Oh no, wait a minute. Spain
No,
is here.
yeah,
Spain is here against France, and
against
Argentina is
England.
playing England. Oh my gosh.
Yes,
Argentina versus England. I'm sure you remember the Falkland Wars.
yes.
I remember that.
I would imagine that some people in Argentina are going to remember the Falkland Wars.
Yes, they should. They should. I remember that war. We had a fellow here in Dallas who came to speak to our weekly breakfast. We have this weekly breakfast that we have a bunch of us. And he had been in the Argentine military during that war. And, he was relating the story of how before the war began, all these young soldiers were ready to go fight England and fight for the Falklands. And he told them, in front of them, he said, guys, I love your enthusiasm, but you have not really seen bombs until they start dropping them on us. And it turned out that, yes, I mean, the UK bombed not the Argentina itself, but the Falklands,
Uh-huh.
and really pretty much broke the back of the Argentine military fairly quickly. So that was a huge mistake for Argentina. What would have been what 44 years
Yeah, it was
ago when they
82,
decided
82,
to.
83. Yeah.
Yeah, 82 is 44, right? Yeah, 44, right? 80, yeah. And that was a huge mistake by the Argentines to pick that fight. But I will tell you this, and I was talking about this over lunch today. When you consider what is happening to the British military, especially the British Royal Navy, how devastated it is today, um, I wouldn't be surprised
And
if
really, in the
I don't
short
think
time
you,
that it
they,
happened,
yes, I don't think the UK could pull that off today.
no.
To have the ability to have all those ships go down
Well,
there
I think that
and
they
bring
admitted
back,
that. They recently admitted that
yeah,
they wouldn't have the wherewithal to defend uh, their interests an ocean away. And I think
right.
that that's
No, and that's a fair point because I was, reading something a few weeks ago that one of their Navy generals was basically telling the Parliament, guys, I don't have 10 ships that I can send out right now because everything is either, you know, not functioning right. I mean, they've let their military go down tremendously. Even
Yeah.
Britain, we always counted on Britain as the one member of NATO that you could count on. Not really, not anymore. Now, hopefully, they turn it around because they need to for their own security. But anyway, um, Argentina and the Falklands, I hope they get over that. But I actually think they're more angry at each other because of what happened in that game in 1986 where Maradona scored a goal using his hand. I think they're more mad at each other for that, but we'll see what happens with those two teams. I mean, they're two powerhouses. What can I tell you?
Yeah.
They're just tremendous, tremendous teams. All right. Well, I want to begin, George. Very sad news. I couldn't even believe it. Wake up Sunday morning and, you know, check the news. Lindsey Graham, Senator Lindsey Graham, suddenly dies in Washington, D.C. Had just gotten back, I guess, from the Ukraine, had even spoken to President Trump a few hours before. And then I guess he had a heart problem, heart disease of some type. And he passed away fairly quickly, from what I understand. They took him to the emergency room, but he died fairly quickly. Pretty shocking. I mean, I think he's been one of the most, whether you like him or hate him, I think he's been one of the most prominent senators of the last 30 years, George.
He has been a stalwart, definitely, in the past, the time that he's served in the Senate, of someone who has favored the Republican Party and the Republican presidents, whether it was George W. or Trump. And even Trump has made the comment. Trump made the comment that he was a very close friend and a very good ally. So you know, it was. I was in shock as well. I woke up this morning and I read some early news on social media, and unfortunately, social media quite often will have, you know, some crazy headline, and then you dig into the headline and you realize all they're doing is just creating a, you know, some kind of attention. But in this case, you know, I dismissed it for a few moments, and then I kept scrolling, and then all of a sudden there was more news about it.
Yeah.
So I was quite shocked. You know?
Yeah, I know the experience you're talking about because sometimes you open, you know, Facebook or any of those, and in the morning, and they talk about bad news about this guy or that guy, and then you read it and can't figure out what the bad news is. But so in the case of Lindsey Graham, I did the same thing. When I first saw the story, I didn't believe it at first. I said, well, let me check further. So I went to the Fox News website, and there it was, the top story that Lindsey Graham had died. I don't know. He's going to be missed because he's been
I'll tell you
central.
the thing that I am thinking about at this point, now that I've gotten over the shock, is that you've got McConnell out, ill. We don't know how ill, but he is out of the Senate, and we've got Lindsey Graham now, who is gone. So that is two people in the Senate where where you can't afford to lose any votes.
Right.
And so it's going to be very, very difficult or interesting to see how the Trump administration maneuvers and handles this whole situation now with two key Republicans missing from the Senate.
Right. Well, right now, the majority is 51-47. Well, 52-47, but you got to consider Mitch McConnell out of commission. Now, I don't know if he could still vote in his condition. I suppose they can always take the vote out to him wherever he is, and he can vote, you know, off-site. I don't know if that's allowed, but definitely you're right. I mean, it's 51-47 now, so you gotta make sure that you hold on to whatever vote, especially this Save America Act,
Correct.
which apparently they're almost at 50 now.
Well, and you've got 3 or 4 Republicans questioning it already.
Yeah.
You've got Murkowski out of Alaska.
Hmm.
You've got what's her name
Well,
out of
Tom Willis out of North Carolina.
and Willis out of North. I mean, you've
Yeah.
got already 4 uh, Republican congressmen that are questioning it. So it's the SAVE Act, in my opinion, is very, very important for the
Right.
future of America, for the future of voting integrity.
Right.
And if we don't make it, it's going to become very, very tough for us to continue because the whole idea of absentee voting after after what we've gone through with the with COVID. I mean, it's become standard. It's become just no big deal. Mail-in ballots. And I think that it's going to become. I think it's going to be a very, very critical piece of legislation. And I'm not sure. At this point, I don't know how it's going to be handled.
Well, and you have these states like California counting late, which I've never really understood. I mean, I guess I read the other day that they still have thousands of votes they haven't counted.
Yeah.
I mean, the election was June 2nd, I think, in California. And they're still, or the first Tuesday in June, and they're still counting votes. Wow.
Sounds very inefficient, not to mention suspicious.
Yeah, well, sure, a combination of the two. Now they'll say, well, we want to make sure that every vote is counted. Okay, that's
no problem.
Yeah, no problem with that idea. But I don't know that you need all this time to make sure all the votes are counted. And if you do, you might want to change how you do it. I don't know. Their system there, but yes, but I mean, he was a very strong voice, and particularly foreign policy, probably more than anything
very
else.
much so, foreign policy.
And I think for me, his greatest moment on the Senate was when he came out in support of Judge Kavanaugh.
Yeah,
and he delivered that amazing speech there at the hearing, where he just gave it to the Democrats right to their face. And I thought, at least for me, that was the high moment for me. That's the one speech that I will always remember about Senator Graham, when he defended Judge Kavanaugh and looked at his wife and said, "You have nothing to apologize for," and looked at his girls and said, "Your dad's a good man." I mean, I thought that was really
fantastic. That was very, very good.
Yeah, that was very, very good. And let's not forget also, by the way, that Susan Collins also delivered a amazing speech on the floor on behalf of Judge Kavanaugh. And Susan Collins did it when she was running for re-election in Maine. And she was way down in the polls, and yet she said, "No, I'm going to support this man." And she ended up winning. But still, I have to tell you, I like politicians with courage like that. I think they make us all better when you have politicians who are willing to do stuff like that. Well, let's talk a little bit about what happened in Houston, whatever day it was last week.
Tuesday.
On Tuesday, was it? Okay. And there was an incident where ICE and some people had an encounter. One person was killed, a passenger of the van. Obviously, it became, like you say, a George Floyd kind of thing. But I honestly, George, I don't see that much coverage of this thing anymore. Maybe in Houston and maybe in some corners. But I think the Democrats really hurt themselves when something like this happens. And instead of saying, well, look, let's just sit back and get the facts before we criticize, the first thing they do was to run on television and say that ICE is killing Americans, as if that's their job, And I think they hurt themselves when they engage in that kind of rhetoric. But I haven't heard anything more. I don't even think that Governor Abbott has said anything about it. I mean, it seems like the people who are saying something about it are the people you expect to say something about it. But that's about it, George. I don't know if you have anything new on it.
No, there was criticism this morning on a couple of stations that Republicans have not said anything about the shooting. I think that's by design. Why do you want to say anything when you don't know the entirety of the facts? What we do know definitely for a fact, what we do know because Houston police officers that were at the scene and who have video of the incident, which has not been released, but video, the comments by the police substantiate what the ICE agents are saying, that they stopped the car. The car was actually stopped by Houston police officers who were who had seen his tags as being not belonging to that car. Now, this is something that's very typical in the illegal alien community, is that they will purchase a car and then they will purchase, some plates from somebody, and they don't belong to the car. The car is not registered properly. So this is what happened in this case. The other situation was that ICE was called because there's an agreement with the police, as well as there was a situation where he was carrying two others that were illegal aliens, and they were looking for, the ICE people were looking for a specific illegal alien. I mean, that's the fact. Unfortunately, from there, it's where it's escalated, and the situation was where the gentleman tried to run, tried to avoid any conversation with the ICE agents. And one of the things that I was talking to with one of my police officer retired friends is that apparently, for whatever reason, one of the ICE officers got in front of the car, and that's a no-no. Now, if there's going to be any kind of criticism, it's going to be that. However, when the ICE agent.
Well, wait a minute. One second. You mean he got physically in front of the car, or
Yes.
was there a car? I mean, were they?
He stood in front of the car.
Okay, he stood in front of the car. Okay.
In front of the car while the other agent came to the driver's seat.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when the driver, when Arujo stepped on the gas to try to get away. And that's when he was shot. I mean, he literally lunged a car at the ICE agent, and the ICE agent pulled the gun and shot him. Now, he shot him apparently as the car was driving past him, because he shot him in the side. And apparently the Democrats are trying to do a forensic analysis of the situation, that he wasn't shot from the front as he was attempting to run over the agent, but he shot him from the side. Indicating apparently to them that the agent wasn't in danger. Well, the agent, apparently what the story is, that the agent jumped out of the way and the car was going past him when he shot it. Yeah. So go ahead. Those are the facts. He was here for 35 years, not having done a thing. He was working illegally. He was transporting folks who were not documented as well. And he tried to flee the situation. Now, I can't, Silvio, I can't say enough how two things are important here. First of all, the police and the ICE folks wouldn't have to worry about going into the streets to arrest people if the county leadership of Harris County was more cooperative with the ICE agents, and the ICE agents could go to the county jail and pick people up. That would not happen in the public. The second thing is that the gentleman was illegally in the United States and he tried to flee. He did not cooperate. I mean, other than those things, if those two things would have been avoided, this would have been, there would never have been this kind of situation.
Right. Well, it's always, you're right. I mean, it's never the intent of ICE to bring about these things, but unfortunately, when you weaponize a car, the guy's got to defend himself, and that is a factor. There's three things about this whole incident, and I was on Univision, and this is what I said on the air. I said there's three things here that I like to know. First of all, I told everybody to calm down because we don't really know anything. we really have no basis for holding any opinion about guilt or innocence. Nobody really knows anything. Yes, there is a dead man, and that's unfortunate, but we don't even know what happened. Now, there's three things that I would like to know. Number one, why was ICE going after that automobile? Now, you said something I didn't know. The license plates, I didn't know that.
Yes, yeah.
So why were they interested in this car? I mean, what was it about this car that interested ICE, and apparently had interested them for a week or so, because they had seen that car in that home, and they were curious. So why was this car of interest to them? Was the car involved in some criminal activity? I don't know, but I like to know.
Yeah.
The second thing that I don't understand.
It is a criminal activity. I mean,
yeah,
it is,
sure.
To switch license plates, and that that people that are staying at a given address where this car is residing, that they are undocumented. Those are red flags. Those are red flags for us.
No, I agree. And so that's, they need to explain that publicly. The other thing that I would like to know about this confrontation is it's basically the word of three people who were in the car who are currently detained, I guess, at the ICE center, and the police officers. There's no video, so I assume that at some point in time, some people are going to put their hand on the Bible and take an oath, and we may find out what actually happened. The last thing I would like to know, and I think this, and I said this on Univision, I think this is a message to the community. If the police, if you're driving and the police tells you to stop, you need to stop. You need to stop your car, bring down your window and say, "Officer, can I help you? What's the problem?" If he had done that, none of this would have happened.
Yeah.
But it's obvious that he was. Now, they claim, the people in the car claim, that the driver was afraid that somebody was going to rob him, and that's why he was accelerating the car.
I'm not sure what that means.
No, I don't either.
I don't know what that means.
Except George, and again, I'm not trying to I don't want to start sounding like Sherlock Holmes here, but there is an interesting little detail. I was listening to his son was talking about the car, and he was saying that apparently this man had been robbed, and some of his tools had been robbed from this car. And apparently he was concerned about, being robbed again. That's what he's saying. That's what the son is saying. Now, again, I don't know. I didn't see the video. I didn't know who this man is. But I think the moral of the story here is that I don't care who you are. If the policeman tells you to stop, you stop and work it out with him. But don't drive and try to evade, because the police has every reason to think that there's something wrong if you're not respecting their command. But George, one thing that I would like to have ICE do, and maybe Tom Holman or the Secretary of of Homeland Security, they need to hold a press conference and explain some of these things, because they just need to at some point. Now, they're going through the facts, and I understand that, but they need to have a press conference, and even the governor needs to get involved in this, because the governor is the one who has authorized for ICE to operate in the state as well as it does. And so I don't know. I just think at this point, we need to counter all the stuff that we're watching with maybe some information. I think Tom Holman is a very credible guy when you put him up there. Yeah. And he knows how to answer questions, and he knows how to handle the media as well as anybody. So that's what I like to see.
He was on TV. He was on TV yesterday, and he made that.
Talking about this? Was he talking about this? Okay.
Yes. He said, when specifically asked, give us details, he said he could not, and he would not until he himself got more details about the situation. However, the basics were there. The basics were he was an illegal alien. The basics are that he tried to make a run, and the basics are that the car was illegally registered. That's why he got stopped. And those are the basics. Those are the basics. Now, outside of that, that he was a good man, that he was working, he'd never been arrested, that he was working on his papers, all of that, is additional information. But the specifics about the incident, I'm sure they will be coming out probably as soon as this coming week.
I hope so. I hope so, because I think that's going to clarify a lot. But I will tell you this. I was surprised how little coverage this thing got out of Houston or outside of maybe Univision. I don't know if Telemundo covered it. I assume they did. But I didn't really see, now granted today with the death of Lindsey Graham, that probably took up a lot of space. But I like to watch all these news stations like you do. I didn't see any coverage of this.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't. I mean, maybe you have.
No, what I am seeing is more of the effort by the leftist street organizers to get things going. That's what I'm seeing. I am not seeing. There are a couple of congressmen from Houston. The black congresman that's on his way.
Al Green
has been all over
Sylvia Garcia are the two.
Garcia have been all over it.
But they were anti-ICE a week ago.
Yes, what's new?
What's new there? I mean, because they were asking me about that, and I said, look, the people that you're seeing on TV, criticizing ICE, they've always been criticizing ICE. So There's nothing new about that. And I said, when you see, for example, Governor Abbott or Lieutenant Governor Patrick, or even one of our two senators come out and say something critical of ICE, then I'll start listening.
Yeah.
But right now, I don't see anything.
Story, the same old people.
Right. And I'll say it again, and that I think not ICE, but these Democrats, and you and I have been on TV with them, so you know what I'm talking about. They come on TV and they say that ICE is killing Americans, and I always fight back when they say that. I said, no, they're not. Oh, but what happened in Minnesota? Well, that's not killing Americans. And let's look at as they say, let's look at the background of those two things that happened. And the problem is they come on and they say these things. A lot of the coverage when I was on TV on Friday was, well, a father, a husband, and that may all be true. He may be the finest husband in the planet.
Yeah, it could have been.
And the finest father. I mean, I'm sure he was a good man. But there were other problems with him.
Yes.
That he had. And I think Tom Holman or Secretary Tolman, I mean, not Secretary, but Director Tolman needs to come out as soon as possible and lay all this out. And also the Secretary of Homeland Security, McMillan, he needs to come out and lay all this out and take the questions directly. Because I think you're right. I think there's information that is going to change the story, George. I really do. Or at least the narrative so far.
Yeah. I'm completely there. They have been trying to connect it to another shooting that occurred in Minneapolis 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
However, that one has fallen on its place because now there is a video of the guy who was running around, who was an American, who was a citizen, but he was running and he pulls a gun. As he's running away, he pulls a gun on the ICE agents and they shot him. So that one has fallen by the wayside. So, we're killing Americans who are shooting at us. Well, okay.
Yeah, I thought that's right. We're shooting Americans we're shooting people who are shooting at us. Yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah.
Self-defense. Did they forget about that? But again, I think that Mr. Holman and the Secretary, they need to come out and clear this up but I will tell you again, I don't want to repeat myself, but I will tell you again, I thought this was going to get a lot more coverage than what it has. And I think part of the problem is that the Democrats really lose the sensible people. In other words, the people out there who are sensible, which is probably most Americans.
Common sense. Yeah.
Common sense. When they say idiotic things like, ICE is killing Americans.
Killing Americans, yes.
Yeah, and people like me look at that and go, "What? Who's killing Americans? ICE is killing Americans? Well, look at what happened in Minneapolis. Yeah, let's look at what happened in Minneapolis. Let's get into the facts."
What's fascinating again, what's also, not to deviate, but just when they make that argument, what's fascinating to me is that they won't say anything about what happens like on the 4th of July weekend, where literally hundreds of people across the country got shot by other Americans at events. I mean, in Chicago alone, there were 8 people at one event that got shot. Why aren't you protesting and screaming about that?
Yeah, and that happens every weekend in Chicago.
That happens every weekend.
Yeah, I mean, that's not
8 shootings here in San Antonio this weekend.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw you pointed that out. So anyway, what a tragedy. Again, nobody wants to see a man.
Tragedy. It's very sad.
Yeah. Nobody wants to see a man get killed, but again, as I said when I was in Univision, the moral of the story is if you're driving and the policeman wants to talk to you, you stop.
Stop.
Now, if after he talks to you, you feel that he treated you poorly, look, there's plenty of time to take him to court.
Exactly. There's many, many ways that you can find some kind of manner to address the problem, but to try to run away.
No, that's the worst thing you can do. Anyway, a quick look at Texas politics. I've seen some polling data, and no, not polling data, but these betting houses that show more and more that Mr. Paxton is going to win. One of them has him at 6 points, winning by 6, which is be what, 53 or 53-46, something like that. How does it look? I mean, what are you hearing? We're not hearing much up here, to be honest with you. We're not hearing much about the campaign up here. I guess it's probably too early, but we're not hearing much. But what are you hearing overall, George?
Well, I know that he is going to be doing a tour of the Rio Grande Valley and Laredo all the way to El Paso. He's going to be doing a border rally or border tour sometime soon. I am not sure how that's going to work out. The 2 things that have popped up that I've read this past week about Tellerico, were number one, a new video has popped up where he's talking about gun control, about literally trying to take guns away, supporting what's his name? Who ran for governor? What's his name?
Beto O'Rourke?
Oh, yeah. Supporting Beto's position of
taking your AR-15,
the AR-15s and everything else. So that popped up. The second thing that has popped up is again Jasmine Crockett. Yeah. Jasmine Crockett early last week made the comment that he's got a problem with blacks and that she is not going to do anything about blacks. Encouraging that the whole Democratic Party in Texas has a problem with blacks. So between those 2 things, I am not sure. I see the polls. There was another poll that came out by University of Texas. Now, it's the University of Texas, so I've got to ask myself, well, how are those questions framed? But when you look at the betting that's coming out of Las Vegas.
Right.
The odds makers clearly are seeing that this guy, the Tellerico ship, is sinking, and it's 6 points.
That's
now.
What the betting services are indicating. Yeah,
it's 6 points.
That's now. What the betting. And now this poll out of Texas, what are they saying? I didn't see that.
They have it. They have it even. They have it even.
Okay.
And anytime that you hear a liberal poll saying that things are even, they're not. That they
and the other thing too, and the one thing I have never seen about Tellerico is the same problem Beto O'Rourke had. I mean, he was never, there was never a 2 or 3 polls that would come out putting him over 50%. And that's the problem, because if you're not polling over 50%, you're going to lose
Exactly.
because that's just the way it works out.
He's,
And I have not seen any poll that has him over 50%. I mean, no poll that I know of.
I've got two friends from Breitbart that have gone,
Yeah.
two reporters from Breitbart that have gone to events where he's spoken. And they all come away with the same thing. He is exciting at first, and then all of a sudden he peters out. It goes downhill. Every single one of his events starts out with a bang, and then it goes downhill. And, you know, he loses the audience. And I think that this is exactly how his campaign is going to work. I mean, towards November, I think it's going to peter out.
Well, I mean, if there's no black excitement, then he's in trouble.
Yeah, he is,
because
really.
he needs to have a black turnout. But black men, they moved toward Trump, and maybe they'll go back to the Democrats. But Jasmine Crockett is not. I mean, she's a character herself, but you have to really wonder how. If she's talking like that, she says, "I'm going to work on the other races, the down the ticket races." Maybe she's preparing herself to run at some point.
Yeah, right.
Coming back again, she may be doing that. Well, George, any thoughts about the news that came out that Mexico is apparently going to be suing the United States for the death of? I think it came out because of the Houston incident, right?
Yes,
or maybe
exactly.
others.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's including others.
Right.
President Sheinbaum of Mexico is claiming other incidents are included in that, but she is definitely going to file a complaint with the UN, and she is demanding that the United States provide funding, what are they called? Reparations.
Reparations for the victims?
For all of the illegal aliens that have been injured or hurt, as well as Mexican citizens in general.
Right.
So it's not just illegals. It's anybody from Mexico that has been injured or arrested or killed that the United States has to pay money. Now, what's very, very interesting is, what about all the American citizens that have been injured or killed in Mexico, not to mention the fentanyl that has come over here and the Mexicans that have come over here and injured and hurt people. So,
right. Well, I think this is just a big political desperation. I mean, this is not going to get anywhere. I mean, they can take it to the UN. They're going to take this to the UN. How far is that going to go?
Our friends at the UN.
Yeah, I mean, that's that's where it's going to go, and that's where it's going to stay.
Maybe she'll take it to the Iranians. Maybe they.
Yeah, we'll take it to somebody, or maybe I don't know what they do, but it's all political. She needs something like this because her political fortunes right now are not doing the best. So she needs this. She needs to, show the flag, as they say, on behalf of her people. And some politicians have done that in the past, though she's not the first one. But I don't think going to the UN is gonna. Yeah, that's not really. I can just imagine President Trump getting a phone call from the UN saying, "We have a case here against you," and he says, "Oh, you do? Okay." Let me tell you something else too. I just remember this. Something that I think has angered Prime Minister or President Sheinbaum is that President Trump is talking about renegotiating the trade agreement.
Yes.
And you're hearing from Canada, at least two provinces, Ontario and Alberta, that they want Mexico out of it because they fear that China is bringing things through Mexico. So I'm sure she's thinking about that too, because if they don't have that agreement with the United States, their economy suffers a great deal.
It does.
Without question. But anyway, George, I'm not sure who to root for in these upcoming games. I just hope they have a good game. And I hope that the games are not decided by penalty kicks. I hate that.
Yeah.
I hope that whoever wins scores on the regular clock. And
I think the most positive thing out of this whole situation is how European tourists have walked away with such a positive view of America. I think that's the most positive of the whole thing.
I think the biggest winner of this entire World Cup is Buc-ee's.
Texas and Buc-ee's.
Yeah, Buc-ee's has become like the world sensation.
The ambassador, the economic ambassador to the world.
Yeah, all of a sudden everybody's talking about Buc-ee's. You have these people they're interviewing on TV about Buc-ee's, and it's like, oh wow, Buc-ee's, how cool. I assume that Buc-ee's made a lot of sales of their mascots and all of that they have there. You know, when you walk in, they have these mascots that they sell. And I always tell my wife we should get one. And she goes, no, they're too expensive. But I'm sure all of the visitors from Europe will buy these mascots of Buc-ee, you know, and take them back to Europe and say, look, you know, look at the new symbol of America, Buc-ee. But it's going over great. It's going over well.
Not the American
Buc-ee's.
Eagle.
Who would have thought, you know, all the times that I've stopped at Buc-ee's, who would have thought that Buc-ee's would become the symbol of the United States? Talk about unpredictable things, George.
I love their peanut brittle. I love their peanut brittle, and their slushies, strawberry slushies at Buc-ee's. I love them. So I understand it.
Well, I think the one thing that women in Texas love is the bathrooms because they're very clean.
Yes.
Okay, they're very clean.
I like it too. I like men's bathrooms.
Well, the men's room is pretty clean too, but I'm just saying, you know, women are more particular about that stuff. And so I think, you know, women are, I know, I can tell you that, I can tell you that there's one, whenever we go to Houston, there's one going that way. And then coming back, there's another one coming back. We always stop on the one going there, or sometimes we stop on the one coming back. But for me, stopping at Buc-ee's has become a real treat. Now, this is before the World Cup. It was always a big treat, but now I'm expecting Buc-ee's to open a subsidiary or whatever they call them. I expect to put one in Germany and have the German Buc-ee's. I'm sure that they will love it. They will absolutely love it. They will have German Buc-ee's with German sausage. Can't beat it. You cannot beat that. Well, George, as always, thank you for your time. It's always great to have you and your input. And next week we'll continue. But thank you again, and don't get too hot down there. We're pretty hot up here.
Yeah, we're doing our best.
Okay. Have a wonderful day, George. Thank you for your time. All right. Thank you for your time. Our good friend, George Rodriguez down in San Antonio, talking a little about Texas and this incident with ICE in Houston that I'm hoping that the Department of Homeland Security has a press conference very soon here and tell us what happened, because I think we need to clarify what happened. And again, always sorry when somebody gets killed in these situations. ICE is not looking to kill people. I mean, that's a fact. But if you don't stop your car when they tell you to stop, you know, that's a bad way to begin any relationship with law enforcement. You have to respect law enforcement, and if they want you to stop the car, just stop it. Talk to them. They're not going to hurt you. But if you try to evade, then that's not going to work out well for you. Thank you for your time. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas. Thank you for everybody for checking in with some notes, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye, everybody.